We're in Honolulu. My dear, what prevented you from visiting the airport yesterday? My stomach turned as I heard my mother's sweet voice on the phone. With my packed bag at my side, I stood still in the center of Dallas International Airport while the realization gradually dawned on me. About the date of our flight. They had purposefully misled us. It never occurred to me that my own parents would go to such lengths. My name is Jocelyn Adams. For months, I had been anticipating this family trip since I was in dire need of a holiday following a demanding work quarter. As a marketing executive, I had just wrapped up entertaining significant international customers, and this vacation was meant to be a treat, an opportunity to unwind and spend time with my family. Are you referring to yesterday? I said, my voice trembling. The schedule for the flight was 2 p.m. today. I heard. To prove it, I have the text messages. Suddenly, the busy airport felt oppressive as other passengers hurried by me, their eagerness for their own adventures just emphasizing my increasing destruction. I detected the deceit in my mother's voice. But she responded, "Oh, sweetie, there must have been some confusion. Your sister did it perfectly. We're all now comfortable at the resort. Naturally, my sister made it. Amy was their golden kid and their top priority. The fact that they insisted on managing all the travel arrangements themselves, saying it would be simpler that way, should have alerted me to a problem. They couldn't trust me to purchase my own ticket, even though they depended on me to help them pay their expenses." As rage took the place of amazement, I responded, "This wasn't a confusion, Mom," my voice getting louder. "You gave me the incorrect date on purpose. I thought you didn't want me on this vacation." "Now Jocelyn, don't be theatrical." The quiet on the other line was deafening. Such events occur. My hand shaking, I hung up the phone. I stood alone, deceived by those who ought to have loved me the most, while families around me hugged as they got ready for their own getaways. After my dad's early retirement, I had been helping them maintain their lifestyle by sending them money each month for the last 2 years. So I wasn't blind to the irony. Even though they depended on me to pay for everything, including groceries and medical costs, they still decided not to include me in our family vacation. My eyes began to mist up with tears as I stared at my worthless baggage. I felt a searing rage growing inside of me. Though, more than despair, standing there in the airport, I made a choice that would alter everything. This was about years of manipulation and favoritism, not simply a lost vacation. My parents' perception of me as their daughter or as their personal financial account has always been a mystery to me. All I could think about as a child was Amy. She was known for her flawless smile, flawless grades, and outstanding dancing performances. Despite learning to live in her shadow, I never gave up on gaining my parents' affection and acceptance. I devoted myself fully to my marketing position after graduation, putting in extra hours and weekends to advance in the company, as Amy used our parents' retirement funds to pursue her ambition of becoming an actress. I was creating something tangible. I became the youngest executive at my business in 5 years, overseeing a staff of 15 employees and handling significant customer accounts. Because of his arthritis, my dad decided to retire early at that point. After funding Amy's unsuccessful acting career, their money had diminished, and now they were having financial difficulties. Without thinking, I volunteered to assist, to pay for their utilities and mortgage. I paid them $2 each month. When unforeseen medical expenses arose, I also paid them. I donated more than $30 to them only last year, money I had intended to use as a down payment on my own home. My mom would say, "We're so blessed to have such a generous daughter," during our weekly phone talks. But the calls would always conclude with an update on Amy's most recent audition or her new headshots. They only ever inquired about my life and career when they were in need. I was ecstatic 2 months ago when they discussed organizing a family vacation to Hawaii. Finally, we would have the opportunity to spend quality time together. Dad had to utilize his airline points, so they insisted on making all the arrangements themselves. "There's nothing to worry about," they said. "Just concentrate on your important customer meeting. We will take care of everything." I was an idiot for believing them. I even deposited more funds into their account to assist with the cost of the resort. I told them that was the least I could do. I imagined family meals and carefree beach days as I hoped that this trip would be different and that they would finally view me as more than just their source of income. Rather, I found myself standing at a deserted airport, my heart broken and my luggage packed. A fresh message buzzed through my phone. A picture of Amy and our parents enjoying cocktails at the beach. "Family vacation begins," was the caption. "I'm missing you, sis. I wish you were able to attend." I had never experienced wrath like the one that consumed me in that instant. Something inside of me finally broke as I stood there in the airport. Looking at Amy's picture, I began looking through my parents' previous texts. And the pattern quickly became apparent. They had planned every discussion about the trip to ensure my absence. On the 15th, at 2 p.m., my mother texted me to confirm the flight schedule. However, I could clearly see their boarding cards from yesterday. The 14th, when I looked at Amy's Instagram story, they had meticulously prepared their deceit. So they hadn't made a mistake. My phone rang once more. It was my dad this time. He began, "Jocelyn," in a harsh tone that sounded like he was reprimanding a kid. "Your attitude has greatly irritated your mother. You're making this into a drama when we made a sincere error with the dates. You have matured as a lady. You should be aware that these things do occur." There was no comedy in my laughter. Was it a genuine mistake? Why did Amy know that the correct date was set? Why did you insist on making all of the reservations yourself? Why have you spent weeks deceiving me? He started to say, "Now listen here," but I interrupted him. "No, you listen, Dad. I looked at my bank statements just now. I sent you $3 for this vacation last week. Did you just accept my money knowing you would abandon me? Or was that also a mistake?" I learned everything I needed to know from the stillness that ensued. Finally, taking a new technique, he said, "Jocelyn," in a gentler voice, "we have a fixed income. As you are aware, that money was necessary for the trip. Your career is doing really nicely. Don't you realize the importance of making sacrifices for your family?" I could hardly hold the phone because my hands were trembling so much. Family sacrifices? For years, I have been making sacrifices. I've sacrificed everything to help you and your mother, including my funds and my aspirations to own a home. And you pay me back like this? Stop being selfish, he yelled. This trip was necessary for your sister. Her acting career has caused her a great deal of stress. I broke off, raising my voice. You're referring to the past time you've been supporting with my money while she's living in your home for free? The unsuccessful auditions, although I put in 60-hour weeks to provide for you all? He cried. Enough. I will not tolerate this rudeness. Jocelyn, you've changed. You've become ruthless because of money. Something changed inside of me at that very instant. Although the pain persisted, it was now solidifying into resolve. One thing. Dad, you're correct. I've changed. And more changes are on the horizon. After hanging up, I launched my banking app. Jocelyn's bank required a permanent closure. Anger and resolve filled the trip home from the airport. I documented everything over the evening. I took screenshots of bank transactions, SMS conversations, and created an extensive spreadsheet that detailed all the money I had paid them over the previous 2 years. I felt terrible after seeing the total. 47.850. My parents' love had cost me that. I went to my bank the next morning and closed the joint account I had created in order to send them money. I then made a call to my workplace's human resources department to have my parents removed from the beneficiaries list of my life insurance policy. I felt lighter with every stride, like I was finally escaping unseen bonds. The texts began to pour in at that point. My mother's guilt trips came first. Knowing that you're upset with us keeps me up at night. This is tearing our family apart. How could you possess such a chilly heart? Amy then joined in. You're being so theatrical. My God. It was only a misunderstanding. You are the reason Mom cries every day. However, my father's speech was the one that truly exposed their true nature. This is not how we brought you up. This is how you pay us back for everything we've done for you. This week, your mom needs her prescription filled. You dare not neglect your obligations to this family. Astonished by their boldness, I glanced at my phone. What were my responsibilities to the family? What about their need to show me the bare minimum of respect? I sent a concise, Assertive email instead of replying. Dear Amy, Dad, and Mom, I've been thinking a lot since yesterday. There was no misunderstanding in the Hawaii event. It was a conscious decision to keep my money while excluding me. This behavior pattern is now over. I am immediately discontinuing all financial assistance. I didn't have to give the money, it was an option. You'll have to locate another source of income. Never get in touch with me again for money. I need some distance and time to think about our relationship again. Regards. Within minutes, my phone flooded with calls and texts. My mother bemoaned in her voicemails that they would lose the house. Amy called me callous and self-centered in her irate communications. The threat level of my father's texts increased as he threatened to take action if I didn't wake up. I blocked them all. Doubt attempted to infiltrate me as I sat by myself in my apartment that evening. Years of conditioning taught me to prioritize their needs and think having limits was selfish. But then I recalled being at that airport and knowing that they had spent my money, planned, and carried out their treachery. The next day at work, I got a surprise visitor. My father's sister, Aunt Rose, entered my office. She sat down opposite me and said, "I heard what happened. Your parents requested that I speak reason into you." Rose surprised me, but I anticipated more guilt trips. "Jocelyn, what they did was horrible. For years, I've seen them use your generosity. Someone needs to be honest with you. This is not fair to you." As she stretched across the desk and gripped my hand, tears filled my eyes. I was finally noticed by a member of my family. Actually noticed me. Rose warned that they would do all in their power to get you back in. Remain resilient. You're acting appropriately. I learned something 2 weeks after I sent the email that made the Hawaii event seem insignificant. During my lunch break, Rose contacted me, her voice tense with worry. "I have something to show you. Jocelyn, after work, is it possible for you to visit my home?" She had a pile of papers on her dining room table when I got there. "Last week, your father approached me and requested a loan. I performed some research after he revealed certain information that didn't line up." Her display left me feeling deeply uncomfortable. Credit card bills, loan applications, and bank statements all presented an unsettling image. My parents had been spending my money on more than simply necessities. They had been relying on my help to pay for their lavish lifestyle, which was well above their means. Rose gestured to a credit card bill and said, "Look at this. 3 months ago, they obtained a new card in your name. Have you lately looked at your credit report?" As I took out my phone and downloaded my credit report, my hands were shaking. It was there. I had no idea that there was a $15 credit card. They had opened it using my personal information and social security number. "That is identity theft," Rose said. "That's illegal." "Jocelyn, I thought I was out of breath. How were they able to achieve this?" "There is more," Rose added. "Do you recall the tale of Amy's acting career? She isn't even in California to try out for roles. She has been working part-time at a nearby coffee shop and living at home the entire time. They said the money was for her acting courses and headshots. They have been gambling with it. The incessant demands for more money, the evasive answers, and the guilt trips I experienced when I asked questions caused the rooms to spin as the puzzle came together. It went beyond simple manipulation of emotions. It was deception. My mother texted me, and my phone rang. "We need to chat, please. My love. Because of all this tension, your father is experiencing chest difficulties. If something were to happen to him, we would hold you accountable." I showed the note to Rose. She gave a head shake. "Additional manipulation. Without your money, their house of cards is collapsing. And they are desperate. What ought I to do?" Rose responded, "You have 2 options. You have the option of handling this discreetly or filing charges for identity theft. In any case, you must defend yourself. Years of sacrifice, prioritizing their wants before mine, and falling for their falsehoods came to mind. I remembered the tears, the guilt trips, and the chest aches. They were playing a game. I want to have a final conversation with them." I replied, "In person, but you must accompany me there." Rose gave a nod. "I'll arrange it. However, we must first get proof and place a credit freeze on you. Jocelyn, they've shown their true selves to you. Have faith in them." I had trouble sleeping that night. I couldn't stop thinking about all the ambitions I had postponed in order to provide for children. I couldn't stop thinking about the funds I should have had, the trips I never took, and the house I longed to buy. Not only had they taken my money, they had stolen years of my life away. But as I lay there, another thought occurred to me. I felt genuinely lucid for the first time in my adult life. The mist of deception was dissipating, and steely resolution took its place. Did they wish to engage in some gaming? All right. However, I would set the rules this time. The meeting was scheduled to take place at Rose's home on Saturday afternoon. I spoke with a lawyer in the morning to learn my options in relation to identity theft. I then gathered all the evidence into a folder. I reviewed everything, including text messages, bank transactions, and credit card bills. I informed them that their game had reached its conclusion. Amy was with my parents when they got there. She didn't resemble the carefree girl in those pictures from Hawaii. She had a guilty look on her face. Like students summoned to the principal's office, they poured into Rose's living room. "Thank you for coming," I said steadily. "I've found a few topics we should talk about." My mother interjected, tears welling in her eyes. "Jocelyn, you must know." "No." I interrupted her before you spoke. "Now I'm speaking." I took out the statements from my credit cards. "Is there anyone who could explain this?" The hue vanished from my dad's face. Amy was perplexed, but my mother spoke out right away. "There was an urgent situation. We intended to inform you." "A crisis?" I spread out other papers. "Could they include debts from gambling? Or the credit cards that are maxed out? Or perhaps Amy's fictitious acting career?" Amy's head jerked upward. "What do you mean by fake?" I looked over at her. "Do you truly have no idea? I've been informed that you're pursuing acting in California. All of my money allegedly went there. The money was used for rent, lessons, and the purchase of your headshots." "What?" Amy gave our parents a startled look. "I have a job at Starbucks. I received word that you declined to help with my college expenses." Chaos ensued in the room. Amy broke down in tears. My mom made an effort to clarify. And my dad sprang to his feet. His face flushed with rage. "Enough," he yelled. "We took the necessary action. You're not understanding." "Oh, I completely understand," I answered, presenting my last piece of proof. "You stole someone else's identity. It is a federal offense. Here, I have two options. File charges or deal with this in private. It's your choice." My mom broke down in dramatic tears. "You wouldn't. We are your parents." Rose interrupted. "Parents don't steal from their children. Parents are not deceitful, manipulative, or dishonest." At that moment, my father stumbled and gripped his chest. "My heart," he said. "Make an ambulance call." I almost fell for it for a second. Then I caught a glimpse of my mother's face. Calculation, not panic. Their last attempt to restore control was this play. "No," I answered firmly. "No more deceit. This is what will take place. You will sign a reimbursement agreement for each cent you stole. That fake credit card will be closed. You're also going to abandon me." "What if we say no?" my father inquired, inexplicably forgetting his heart attack. "After I file charges, you can tell a judge what you did." The ensuing hush was deafening. At last, my father gave a dejected nod. With her eyes suddenly dry, my mother gazed at the ground. "What about Amy?" Amy gave me the impression that she was now seeing me clearly. I was not satisfied when they signed the reimbursement arrangement that my lawyer had drafted. I felt a deep void in my heart for the family I thought I had. In the weeks that followed, my parents' meticulously crafted facade crumbled. Without my financial assistance, they had to sell their home and move into a tiny apartment. According to the payback arrangement, they had to return to me the majority of their retirement income. It wasn't retaliation. Justice was served. While Amy considered her options, she temporarily moved in with Rose. One evening, she phoned me in a small, uncertain voice. She stated, "I didn't know what they were doing. They have been pitting us against one another for all these years." I apologized profusely. Jocelyn, although her apology had some significance, it was insufficient to undo years of harm. It was a start, though. My parents tried to control me one last time. They caused a commotion in the foyer when they unexpectedly arrived at my office. My mother cried. After everything we've given up for you. We're going to lose everything. Surrounded by worried coworkers, I refused to back down. Calmly, I answered, "You lost me. It was your decision, and that's all that matters." Security led them away, and as I watched them go, I felt at ease. I was free of the guilt that had plagued me for years. They had lost their victim, their emotional punching bag, and their ATM. I reserved a trip to Hawaii for myself that night. I grinned at the irony when I verified the reservation. They had offered me something invaluable in exchange for their attempt to keep me out of a family holiday. Liberty. I saw the sunset paint the sky in vivid oranges and pinks when standing on a beach in Maui 3 months later. This was just what I needed. Even if it wasn't the family vacation I had envisioned. A text from Rose buzzed through my phone, which was quiet now that there wasn't a continual stream of guilt-tripping texts. "This weekend, they're finally leaving the house." She wrote. "Amy is a community college student. When you get back, she wants to get coffee with you." I said, "Tell her I'm open to it." After taking a long intake of salt air, the payback plan was gradually paying off. My parents sold most of their belongings and sent me a monthly check. They were compelled to make this payment, not out of regret. If they failed to make even one payment, the fraud allegations I had suppressed would come to light. My mother continued to attempt using several accounts to write heartfelt emails. "While you live in luxury, we eat ramen noodles. Was this what you were hoping for?" Without replying, I erased them. Their guilt trips no longer swayed me. At work, I received a promotion once more. I put the energy I had previously spent managing my parents' mess into creating my own life. In order to support their way of life, I had even begun to look at homes. A desire I had put off for years. I finally got it while I stood on the beach. Forgiveness and reconciliation are not always necessary for the happiest outcomes. There are moments when it's about deciding to walk away. My parents planned this Hawaii vacation with the intention of harming me. Instead, they would release me.